bring in our next guest. I love visiting with this guy, and right out of the chute, he was fantastic last week. Gave us an awful lot of insight, and it is Ollie Lane, who's nice enough to join us. Ollie, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
I'm well. Look at those shoulders, Caleb. That gives me shoulder envy.
Yeah,
man, I'm gonna have to go do some trap work. It's shrug time for Dave Hooker. Ollie, I hope you're doing well. Excited about the game. I see you're sporting the orange. What do you think of this? Give us a big 20,000 foot view of the game.
This is the one that I've been kind of looking forward to the whole season, getting into it. It's our first big real test, and it's the first SEC game. I mean, that's when the real season really kind of gets kicked off. Looking at this one from afar, there's a lot of different storylines that are going into this. Obviously, Hyupel's connections to Oklahoma, what this team's mission is going to be for this year, how far are they going to go and accomplish. You're going to learn a lot of things from this game. And I think the biggest takeaway that I'm hoping to see is just how aggressive and powerful we're going to be throughout the rest of the season. I think this one, just like the Florida games played all those years before, this is like that first, it's your first test, and then it kind of sets up how the rest of your season is going to go. You know, normally those years back in the day when we'd beat Florida that first SEC game, that kind of sets us on a trajectory to have a very successful season. And so I think this is now going to be that new game that's going to set the tone for what the season is going to be.
Ollie, help me. Have you been to Oklahoma?
I have not been to Oklahoma.
Okay. Then let's move on. All right. I think Tennessee has an advantage on both sides of the line of scrimmage. We'll break them each down, but would you agree or disagree based off what you've seen from these two teams?
Yeah, I mean, both of them are definitely have somewhat of the most even talent that Tennessee's seen going into this season. Definitely both sides of I know their D-line and their front seven is very powerful. They're super good at stopping the run. And that's kind of what they hang their hat on. And I mean, for us, obviously, we build a lot of our strength off of what this defense has been able to do. And going against their offensive line, I think they're going to have a lot of success. I think there's 3 offensive linemen for Oklahoma that were listed as probable. So I'm assuming that they're going to be back into the game this week. And, you know, they've had a lot of moving issues. It hurts them a lot for all the injuries and stuff they've gone through early in the season for Oklahoma. But seeing some of those guys list back does raise a little bit of concern of them getting back to full strength. So how much of full strength are they going to be at going into this game?
Let me jump in there for just a second. Hit the like and subscribe button now, because you said something that interested me, and that is Oklahoma's offensive line has been beset with injuries. They at one point were playing their third string center, and I think they tried their best to get through the games that they got through, and Tulane gave them a little bit of a scare, but get through those games and be healthy for the Tennessee game. So let's pretend they're all 100% healthy, which they're probably not. You know, as a big guy, once you get hurt, you never really get 100% healthy. Yeah. But let's pretend, just from a chemistry standpoint, not having played together, how much of a factor can that be in their efficiency?
Yeah, no, that's going to play a huge factor. Obviously, the more comfortable a group of 5 guys get to go out and play with each other, they're going to have more shortened communication, more effective communication, and be able to work together better because they already know different techniques and stuff that they want to use in combination, like on combo blocks and stuff. So, I mean, it's hard for them that their first real game of, if they all are back, getting to play together again is going to be a very tough opponent for them to go against, because they're not going to have that time to really develop the relationship there. It's like, we got to go now. We'll figure out the other stuff as it goes. And, you know, sometimes that works, but most of the time that's going to cause more issues, more lapse in protection, and a lot of leakage. And so I think for them, even if they are fully healthy, I don't know if they're going to be able to really put out a full product in the amount of time that they've had to really play with each other. You know, going from last year, having to replace all those guys, that in itself is a feat. Now having to do it with 3 guys out, don't know when they're coming back or if they're coming back, that makes it even more hard to get something consistent out there.
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
No, it was good stuff. Good.
Ollie, speaking of the trenches, though, we got to go over to Tennessee side because as these guys are a little injury report, Hyupel's playing a little bit of gamesmanship, as I'm sure is no surprise to you, having played for him for 3 years.
No.
But is listing Lance Hurd as questionable right now. We don't know if he's going to go on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're close to the guys, so I know you'll be as nice as possible, but how much trouble is Tennessee in if Lance Hurd can't play left tackle for them on Saturday, given Oklahoma's pass rush?
I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be playing in the game. I'm not too worried about it, but at the same time, even if he's not, I think you got Dane Davis, and I think Dane Davis has been a strong force for you. And I mean, you might see some issues come up, but I mean, for majority of that game, he's going to be rock solid, and there wouldn't really be much of a drop off to note that would be noticeable between the two. So I think you're secured there, even if he doesn't end up playing, because like I said, Dane Davis has been putting a lot of good tape out there to begin this year. And I think if it gets to that point where he has to play, he'll continue to do that.
It's funny you bring that up. I'm going to do a most improved Vol as when you go from 1 year to the next, you're going to get better if you put in the work, and a lot of these guys have. And Dane Davis was right there. He's going to be at the top of my list when I write that column. And he just seems to me, I'm one of the guys that stares at the offensive line like a goofball, but he seems to me to be a I don't know, his movement seems much more efficient now. He seems more comfortable, and I think he's a little bit stronger, but I imagine he's always been pretty strong.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's always been a pretty strong guy, but I mean, just me personally knowing Dane, I mean, he's my next door neighbor now, so I get to see him all the time.
There you go.
But I mean, he's one of those super motivated and into the details kind of guy. He breaks down every single play, knows every single position, just like I did, and I think that helps him a lot. Because, him having to play center last year, that forced him to know what everybody else is doing. So now when he's at his position, he already knows what the guard next to him is doing. He's got all that extra information that not everybody that's concerned about just what their job is. Now you know what everybody else's job is, and it helps your job become a lot more easier, helps the communication part easier. And I mean, Dane's just a guy, he takes everything serious and doesn't try to even look for shortcuts. He takes the right path to get to what he wants, and it shows in his performance.
We're looking at Ollie, one of the best rush offenses in college football in Tennessee, maybe the best, going up against one of the best rush defenses. Whatever flaws Oklahoma has, they allow only 2 yards a carry. They're top 10 in yards allowed per game. I mean, they're really, really, really good. Who has the edge in that matchup? Do you think Oklahoma, because truth be told, neither has been seriously tested, although Oklahoma played Houston and Tulane, who aren't bad, and Tennessee played NC State. Who would you say has been more tested between the two? I guess
it's hard to say. I'd have to say Oklahoma just because they've been in closer games, but I don't know if those opponents were really up to the task or not. Maybe they just had a bad game that game. But, I mean, if you're looking at it from an outside-in perspective, you obviously got to see that, Tennessee's got the advantage because they've just been steamrolling everybody, and Oklahoma's been struggling in some of these earlier games that they probably shouldn't have. So, I mean, it makes me want to put that advantage towards Tennessee. But I think, to also look into it, we've got so many good running backs right now that we still don't even really know who is the true number 2 running back for us. And so, I mean, that's a positive, really, because, I mean, you can throw a bunch of different guys out there, and, I mean, they all have a different running style, so it's a different style that you have to defend. Plus, I think an advantage falls on us of having such a veteran, experienced offensive line that they're going to be able to having a guy, again, like Cooper Mays out there. He's so smart. He's going to make sure that everybody's on the right spot. And that way they're not breaking us down or finding open spots for a linebacker to fill or something like that. They're going to be able to scheme it up to the correct way to where this running game is still effective, because we can't afford to let them stop the running game. Obviously, it's not going to be probably as explosive as it's been in the first 3 games, but I think it's still going to be there and be a big part of why we win this football game.
Cooper, what do you think about Ollie Lane's comments?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ollie Lane. let me ask you this. When out as far as Tennessee's defensive line, I want to get to that. But first, do you think many of the players know what happened with Josh Hyupel, because I was talking to Cooper on the ball report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, and he didn't even know. Well, at least he said he didn't know that Josh Hyupel had been fired by Oklahoma. He said that was a little before my time, which made me feel old. But I'm curious. Everybody must know about it now if they didn't know about it Sunday. So is there any sense of, hey, you mistreated one of our buddies? We're really going to go out there and is that any motivational factor at all, or is that silly?
I think it is to a point because, obviously this team loves Coach Hyupel and they want to fight for Coach Hyupel and defend him. And I think that plays into it. I think most of what plays into the motivation for them, though, is just this is a big opportunity for them to prove who they really are on this stage. For Tennessee, it's been so many years that we've been trying to prove that we're here, prove that we've made it, and trying to get to that point. And I think now that motivation is drawn straight from that. It's like, hey, we're the University of Tennessee. We're back to what we used to be. We're the strong powerhouse now. And I think that obviously you've got the motivation because, again, they love Coach Hype and they want to play hard for Coach Hype. And I think he'll share some of that information with them about how much this one means to him, but not too much that it would override the main objective that this is the next biggest game on our schedule because it's the next game and we have to go out and compete like we do every Saturday.
Interesting. Caleb?
Yeah, Ollie, I want to play off that a little bit, because that's kind of a revealing. You think Hyupel would actually share you know him better than we do, that he would share with the team that this game is important to him personally?
He'd share it in more non-discrete little drops here and there. Nothing like he's not pulling the whole team together, having a team meeting about it or anything, but he'll say little things to this guy or this guy throughout the week or even in the game or something like that. He'll say some little things, but it's never like he's straight up just announcing it to everybody. It's more just those like little hints and drops that you're like, oh yeah, this guy's really fired up for this one.
We're actually able to tap his phone, and here's what he said to Bob Stoops.
You suck. Yeah.
He's got to be mad. He almost won a Heisman Trophy at the school, won a national championship, a beloved son, and he gets cast aside. And I did all the research for a column I wrote, Ollie, and man, he had it all laid out for him, and he got treated unfairly, and he got railroaded. It wasn't, I don't know. It makes me mad for him.
Yeah. No, when I heard the whole story going into this week, I was like, man, I can't believe something like that would happen. And if I was him, I would also I'd be very a disgruntled former employee for sure.
No doubt. Jump in there, Caleb. What do you got? And we'll reset the poll question. Ollie, nice enough to join us. Portions of the program brought to you by our good friends at Quality Tire Pros. The Eberle family has been serving Chattanooga's community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive, brakes, alignments, oil changes, and more. All work covered by a nationwide warranty. In fact, they have one of my cars now, and I have to take them another car that they're going to work on. Downtown Chattanooga. Stop in and tell Bo that Off the Hook Sports said hello. Caleb?
All right, so Ollie, building off that, Amari Thomas, your former teammate, said this week, he basically was asked how important is it to win it for Hyupel, and he said, we're not trying to win it for Hyupel, we're trying to win it for Tennessee because that's the culture that Hyupel instilled.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very mature statement. Is that honest, or is there a little bit of we got to go win it for Hyupel?
I'd say it's a very accurate statement. I think at the end of the day, like I was saying before, it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of that motivation coming from we want to do it for our coach, but the overarching motivation is coming from we want to do it for the university, for the fans, for the community, for the city of Knoxville. Like this is why we go out and play every Saturday, is to bring glory back to Tennessee. And I think that's what he's meaning by that. It's like, look, obviously we want to play hard for our coach because we love our coach, but at the end of the day, we all wear a T on our chest, and that's who we represent. And while we all make these individual plays and talents and stuff like that, it all comes back to that. We're all under this big power T. And so how great can we make the power T look?
Yeah. And I tell you what, I trust the eye test sometimes too often. And I believe in my heart that Tennessee really does go deep in the defensive line, that they really have 8 to 10 really talented players. However, they really haven't faced anybody, and they faced an unusual lineup in that 3-3 look against North Carolina State. So I kind of take that with a grain of salt a little bit. So do we come away? How certain do you feel? Because your eye test is better than my eye test.
Yeah.
How certain do you feel that Tennessee has 8 to 10 quality defensive linemen?
No, I mean, I'm 100% guarantee that that's true. I've gone against all 8 of them in my career, and I know all of them are really talented defensive linemen. They all bring a different skill set too, and I think that's what makes them very valuable. They all do different pass rush moves, have different things that's their strengths, and that gives an offensive lineman not that opportunity to get comfortable and know what to expect, because any of these guys can come in here and throw something different at them, and now you don't know how to defend it. You've got to keep, as an offensive lineman, keep changing your technique based on these guys. And for us, it's like, well, we got this guy's fresh, he's getting a little tired. Now we're bringing this guy a different look. He's fresh. Now he's tired, bringing the other guy. He's fresh. It's just a constant rotation. I mean, no one on that D-line should ever really be winded, because the next man up is going to come in and bring that same physical attributes that the other guy was bringing, and then bring a different skill set along with that that's just at the same level or at par with where we need it at.
Yeah, so Ollie, do you think this game tomorrow, given how good the teams are on the line, we keep talking about on the line, and a lot of people in Vegas are even starting to suggest that this could become a defensive slugfest, which nobody predicted at the beginning of the year. Do you see a defensive slugfest, or do you see Nico Iamaleava and Jackson Arnold just in a dogfight, in a duel?
I feel like it's close to prediction time. I like this.
I think the way this game is probably going to play out is it's going to be a little slow to start for both teams. Obviously, we're going to have a little bit of stumble on our feet, I think, at the beginning, with it being the first road game for Nico, getting really, truly used to that. But honestly, I don't see it being a close enough to call it a super close game by the time the fourth quarter rolls around. I think we're going to start hitting our shots and hitting these big plays. And honestly, I think our defense, if they can corral the legs of Jackson Arnold, are going to be more than fine. Obviously, they've got 2 big wide receivers coming back this week, hopefully, maybe for Oklahoma. So, I mean, we'll see if they bring a real big difference to what this offense has been able to do so far. But the Oklahoma offense hasn't looked overly impressive. And I mean, in games like this, it's either going to roll, it's a shootout, or it's a defensive fest. And I don't see their defense being able to hold us back from making it into a shootout.
Okay, I want to reset this as the poll question. I'm going to let you out of here. Do you want to give us a score prediction, Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking the final score is going to be about 42-17. That's my plan.
I said 42-13. Now, my question is, and I've been all on it, Ollie. I'm usually not good, but I've nailed the scores so far this year. But, Ollie, my question is, if it's 35-13 or 17 that you say, and there's 5 minutes left and the game's in hand, does Josh Hyupel tack one on?
Yeah, I mean, if we're moving the ball, we're scoring. It is what it is. I mean, I can recall back to, was it 21 against Missouri?
22.
It was 22 against Missouri, and we're down there. I get in with the twos with Joe and them, and we're moving the ball. There's like a minute or something left in the game. We could knee it out, but we're on like the 15 maybe. You go to the sideline. Hype was like, yeah, just go ahead and put this one in. It's like, we're driving the ball. We might as well just put it in. They can't stop us. So,
how much do you want to lay it on the line for a coach like that? That's one of the coolest things.
No, I mean, it motivates you for sure to know that, all right, this guy's got the same mentality that we want to beat the crap out of anybody we play, and by how much. And I mean, you love that, because as a younger athlete, you're out there just to cause as much pain as you can on anybody. And I mean, mostly your coaches are like, oh, it's the respectful thing to do. Hold back. Let's take the knee, run the clock out, this and that. But, you know, it takes a true, like, nah, I'm a competitor, and I'm going to make sure you feel this loss. And that's kind of like the mentality that Tennessee has now, is like, we're going to make you feel that you just played us and lost to us in a big fashion.
Okay, so this question I want on our poll question on the YouTube. You have to pick one. You have more confidence in Nico or Tennessee's defensive line to play at an elite level?
Just
It's the way we roll on this show. There's no in between.
Just because I haven't seen him fully play a road game, and the experience and the talent that I know that D-line has, I'd have to go with that, the defensive line, just because they have the experience in these big road games and they have depth to go in it. I think Nico is going to be more elite as it goes forward, getting more of these things to notch on his belt and stuff like that. But it takes everybody that little bit of taste of what a real road game in the SEC is to really know how to compose yourself through something like that. Because, I mean, it's different. It's a lot different to be even, he traveled every game last year, but he wasn't playing. You hear the stands, but you don't know what it's really like till you're out there in the field in the mix of everything.
What was your first road game like that you were actually playing in and a part of the game plan?
I think it was 21 at Missouri was my first SEC start, and that was a road game. So I think that was like the first real taste I got of. I think the first like real I can't hear anything loud taste was probably 22 at Georgia. It was ridiculously loud.
Well,
I was going to say it sounded like y'all struggled at Missouri in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can blame that on Eric Ainge for saying Sanford wasn't allowed. If you heard about that, I'll leave you on this, and you can no comment if you like. Eli Drinkwitz, nerd or not? You can.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I'll say nerd into that. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Take care, brother. I appreciate you.
All right, appreciate y'all.